So these are the ingredients for the famous sauce and meatballs. Some parsley flakes, some salt, black pepper, what's that, basil leaves, red pepper, and 5 cans of crushed tomato. And this is my grandma.
Hello.
She's gonna make it. Her name's Joan.
Hello. This is a sauce that my grandmother taught me how to make, because she was a great cook. And we use today the crushed tomatoes, but back in her day she used to buy the canned tomatoes, whole tomatoes, and she would put them in a colander in a pot, and she would crush them so that she got what we have today in a can, ready to roll.
Mm-hmm.
So how we're going to start is we're going to start pouring the tomatoes sauce
In that big
in the big pot. I usually make it big enough to be able to hold the meatballs.
Yes, there are
So
a
we're
lot of
making,
meatballs.
I guess 5 cans today, which will feed a family and have left over. Now, and we're going to turn the gas on high to get it going. And then as it starts to boil, we're going to simmer it. My grandmother has never taught me how to, she never measured anything. She went by a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Okay, the first thing we're going to start with is the salt, and you just like go across the pan at least 2 times so that, you know, you can always add more salt. Some people don't like salt, so, you know, the same with the pepper, the black pepper. You're just going to go gently across the top, just so that it's
Covered.
covered. Yeah, you can take a look, a picture of that if you want in there, if you could reach it.
Yeah, I saw it. So I saw it. Got
The
it.
parsley
And-
flakes, it doesn't matter. You just pour them right in. You never have enough because it's parsley. The same with the basil. You're going to just go across the top like that. And be careful of the red pepper because that can really get you going. Just a tad.
Yeah, that's
Can you
the
see how
first
much I
pot.
got in there?
Yep.
Just a little.
Pretty much a forest.
Okay. So now we're just going to stir it. And make sure you get everything, you know,
Stirred.
you know, in here like this. And then once it boils, you're going to just simmer it. And the secret to good gravy, we call it gravy and not sauce, is letting it cook. The longer it cooks, the better it tastes. So, we're going to just let this go and boil, and then we're going to simmer it, and it's going to cook on a simmer until, I would say, an hour and a half, because then we're going to make the meatballs, and then put the meatballs in with the oil that we fry the meatballs in, because that gives it a lot of flavor.
Yeah, that's good.
And then we're going to continue to cook it. So for now, this is just going to cook.
Okay. Well, you turn the heat up.
Yeah, you turn the heat up on high until you start to see the gravy or the sauce start to bubble. When you start to see it bubble, turn it down to very low and stir. You don't want it to stick to the bottom of the pan. But you need it to I guess basically come to a little bit of a boil. Otherwise you'll have it all over your walls.
I can attest to that.
Okay.
Okay, hi. So,
This is the boat that my grandmother came from Italy. She came from a town called Avigliano Potenza. And she was 7 years old when she came over. She had beautiful red hair. And she taught me a lot of what I know today.
what was her last name?
Her last name was, when she came over, it was
Lavallo?
Lavallo, right.
Awesome. Okay. And she came in through Ellis Island. So this,
Electric fry pan.
yeah, electric fry pan filled with olive oil, extra virgin, imported and cold pressed. Anyway, how much do you fill the pan with? Skillet.
Just so
How
it's
deep?
nicely covered, it depends. You don't want to put too much, but, like I
Like
said,
cover like half the meatball maybe when you put the meatball in?
even less than that. I can put a little bit more in just to,
Impress the camera.
yeah. Because you're basically just going to let it brown, and then they're going to finish cooking in the sauce.
And this is my recipe for sauce and meatballs. I think they're called, I call it SpaghettiOs. You take some cans of SpaghettiOs and put it in a bowl. I put it in for 3 minutes. That's how many seconds are left. BTW. Cover it, eat. Okay, so that's 2 pounds of ground beef right there. I got it at our local Harris Teeter here in Cary, North Carolina. My sauce is done.
Want me to wait?
What?
You want me to wait?
Nah, it's fine. And put all of that pretty much in that pot.
Let me get it all out. Okay. Now, what we were taught is 2 eggs per pound, so we're
4
gonna
eggs.
put 4 eggs in here because we have 2 pounds of meat. The egg holds the meat
Binds.
together. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Now, almost the same ingredients that we put in the gravy, except we're not going to put in the basil. So we'll start with the salt, so we can see how much we're putting in. That's a couple of shakes. Again, the salt you can put in is always add, but you can't take it out. So not good to be too salty. The same thing with the. Let me just get this flat. Let's see what I'm doing here. Okay. I'm gonna just sprinkle some on top, like that. That might have been too much, but it's always good when it's a little hot. Just a little of the red pepper, just enough to give it a little zap.
Bam.
Parsley flakes. And then we put in flavored Italian-style breadcrumbs. However, when my grandmother made this, you just put in a lot because you're going to mix it all up. When my grandmother made meatballs, she used to make the bread go stale, and then when she was ready to make her meatballs, she would put it in water, soften it up, squeeze the water out, and throw that into the meatballs. But this is modern day.
Yep.
I think we've got everything in. Let's double check. Okay, let me just rinse off my hands for a second.
All hands were washed in the making of this video.
Yes.
Except mine.
And now we're just going to
So like 2
knead
hands.
this
My grandma's.
with a fist. And as you're kneading it, you can tell whether it needs a little bit more,
Spice.
no, breadcrumbs, because you want it to be, you don't want it to be too soft, so you want it to be. And then if I put too much in, you can always add a little water. I think this is going to be a. Okay. Looks like it's going to be okay.
Is this on? No. Should I plug this in?
No, because I'm not done yet. I don't want it to
Burn.
start fire. Then make sure you get all the breadcrumbs from under the pan. Just keep kneading it until you don't see the breadcrumbs anymore. I think maybe put a little. Let me get a little water, just a tad.
A tad. I'm gonna just keep beeping at me. Ow! Okay, I'll get that in a minute.
I'm just gonna put a little water in here. I'm gonna keep the water there. That's how we roll the meatballs.
Did you just drop a piece and put it back in?
Oh, on a clean counter. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of water just. It's perfect. Now, we're going to start rolling. Now, what I do to get a nice, stick it, have a little cup of water here, put it in the palm of your hand, and roll. That keeps the meatball.
From sticking?
No, it makes it look. See?
Well, yeah, from sticking to your hand.
Yeah, but yeah, it closes the meat on. And then just throw them in there as you're doing them. Well, I'll show you one that I don't do water with. See, it's not. See, it's not.
Like sealed?
Yeah. Right.
Bingo.
See how nice and smooth that is?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could start putting them on. Plug that into.
Don't touch the metal.
Okay.
Those are all the meatballs of frying.
See how they don't stick? Also because they have the water,
Yeah.
you know, that you seal them. Mm-hmm. And you're just going to basically turn them as they're cooking. And we're only browning them nice and brown on the outside, and the rest is going to cook inside the gravy. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to take some of this oil, not all of it, too much, and put it right in the gravy. And it'll have the flavor of...
1,000 suns. And this is the finished product. My finished product. So the meatballs are done browning.
They're nice and brown. They don't have to be brown all the way around. As long as they have a nice, you know, for one side. And then you just...
Put them in a bowl.
Anything you want, plate, just so
Burn
that,
me.
yeah.
Grandpa. You can't steal the sauce yet. It's not done.
Start throwing them in the gravy.
The lone meatball. I did what?
I put the rest of the meatballs in. Now I'm going to take some of the oil, not all of it. You gotta be careful because this is hot. Just a little. And you just start to stir it. And that's it. Another good hour to cook. It's on low, so you can cook it an hour and a half. The longer you cook it,
Better it tastes.
well, you don't want to cook for 6 hours, but you want the sauce to get the thing of the meat. Could have put a little bit more oil in there, but and that's it. Okay, Jessica wanted me to give you a little background as to where my grandmother came from. As I explained before, she came to America with her mother and 2 sisters. She was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
When she was born, back in Italy, they had, for unwed mothers or for women who couldn't keep their babies for whatever reason, they had, in the church, they had a carousel, almost like a Lazy Susan type thing. And my grandmother was brought there to the church and left at the church because I guess her mother, wasn't married, or that's what we heard. My grandmother had, like I said before, beautiful red hair. And my grandmother surmises that her father was the priest in the church, only because he was the only one in the little town that had red hair. And she remembers that, she's told us this story, she remembers that when she was out, outside, she would see a woman come to give her coins every once in a while, and she kind of surmised that might have been her mother. But she's never you know, till the day she died, she never knew who her parents really were. My great grandmother knew who they were because she was, you know, the baby was given to her because she was what they called a wet nurse, because she had so many children, she had milk to feed. So she was given to my great grandmother, who adopted her and raised her. And I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
So that's the story that she told us, and we all remember it. And it's sad because, you know, it would have been nice. Oh, my great grandmother actually knew who her parents were because she adopted her and went to her death without saying a word. I mean, she swore that she would never tell, you know, and she kept her word. But it's sad because we don't know the family tree behind where she came from.
He's not there yet. It's hot to your skin, but it's not.
Really? Touch that.
I said it's hot to your skin.
It'll burn her fucking rugs.
It won't burn your rugs. There's no open flame on it. I swear. I promise.
Don't listen to him.
It's hot. You're recording that?
Oh, no.
You
So
liar.
this is the finished product.